Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, what's up, Devin?
Hey.
Devin.
All
Hello.
right.
Hello. Hey, it's up, Nick.
I see Nick's chair, I think.
Yeah. Devin, did you already go down?
Am I in LA now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I am. Is Eddie?
I like your digs. That couch is awesome, dude.
Oh, yeah, this is my parents.
Oh.
I wish. Yeah. No, I have my own little studio back here, and it's like a separate addition to the house, but not the house.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a nice. So as far as setups go, it's pretty nice.
Sweet.
But yeah, I'm excited. I start tomorrow.
Yeah.
It'll be cool. Is
Oh.
Alina gonna pop in? Do you know?
Oh, Lena's at a board meeting right now, so I'm gonna be here. But actually, real quick too, should we schedule like a staff meeting this Friday and make it a Minecraft Halloween world build thing? Like, what do you think?
I could do Saturday, but Friday would be tough
Okay.
because I don't fully know my schedules yet. I will
Okay,
find that
okay.
all out tomorrow. That's kind of that's my first day
Okay.
because they haven't told me quite what shifts I'm gonna be doing. So
Gotcha. Okay.
that's what I want to know.
Yeah. Do you want to still do like a work meeting kind of thingy, or like?
I think that'd be really nice if we could.
Okay.
On Saturday.
Okay. Do you have like a time for it, or?
In the evening around this time would be fine.
Okay, so like 6 p.m.
Yeah,
Okay.
if that's okay. Yeah,
We can.
we'll have to push that out a little bit and get some.
We'll encourage coaches over 21 to have a beer in their hand while they're doing
Yeah, we'll have a wine and Minecraft night.
Yeah. Winecraft.
Oh, that's good. or craft in Minecraft.
Actually, honestly, I'm gonna pitch this. I'm gonna do Winecraft.
I like the idea. Yeah.
Do Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Minecraft sounds very fun.
Yeah, I'll
That'd be
go.
really fun.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, wait. I'll go buy Oliver some beers. Yeah.
That would be cool. Well, thanks for joining, guys. I wanted to. So I had initially the plan was to pick up where we left off last time. To get everything working in Java so that kids can start, so that you guys can know where to start from 0 to having like an item in the game. And the nice thing about once you get through that process is that it's pretty much the same process for every other new thing that you want to add. And I think that we can do that, but I also wanted to give you guys a little bit more of a direct approach into making some project in Minecraft with students that I've tested and I know kids like, if that makes any sense. So I wanted to talk about MCreator and Blockbench today. These are two different programs. MCreator is a mod making software. It's an IDE, so you can use it to actually write Java. It's just that it also generates code using this these little boxes and stuff. Have you checked it? Have any of you guys seen MCreator? I know Eddie, you've seen it before, a little bit. Okay, cool. So as long as you're at least a little bit familiar with the layout, then I'm sure you can work through it and add an item real quick. But is anybody familiar with Blockbench?
Yeah. Oh wait, Devin, is
Yes.
it cool if we record this session so we can give coaches?
It is recording, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, but that's a good point. I'll definitely do that. So Blockbench is a 3D modeling software. It's kind of like Maya or CAD, if you know either of those, but it is specifically for Minecraft, which is really cool. And it simplifies a lot of things that getting kids into 3D modeling can make really difficult, like moving the camera around, adding objects, or extruding, if you know anything about that kind of that system, and softening edges or whatever. With MCreator, with Blockbench, it's just cubes, and you can rotate them a specific amount of degrees, and they just kind of work, and it's really fun. So okay, if you want to follow along with all of the downloads and everything, then you're welcome to. I'll send you. Okay. I can send you all of the links to everything. So yeah, everything is free and should be really easy to run. There's Blockbench. and then MCreator is here. Careful of all of the download links that are not actual download links. It's kind of stupid. Okay. So you're welcome to follow along with that if you'd like, but I will also just show you what it looks like so we can just get started. Let me see. The fun thing, okay, so the thing I like about these two programs and how like well they work together, I just moved you, is because for one, it kind of balances this technical like programming side of working with Minecraft with MCreator. So you can talk about like properties versus like an event handler. And you don't have to worry about Java, which is really nice. And then you can also, at the same time, take some time to do like some creative 3D modeling and just have fun putting together the coolest super sword you could ever imagine. And so it allows you to kind of bounce between the two. And so if the technical programming is getting a little bit tough and the student's getting a little bit like overwhelmed or just not really paying attention, then you can say, why don't we just texture your model, or let's add a new thing of some kind. And then you can go to Blockbench and then they'll just sit there and work on it. Also with Minecraft kids, something I don't know if like it's scientific or whatever, but Minecraft kids tend to really like creating something like this, just sitting there in front of like a small world that they can like build something with. And I guess that's what Minecraft is, right? So it works on that too, pretty well. So, okay, let me show you what Blockbench looks like. Okay, Finn, I need to press the, thanks. Okay, so this is the whole thing. There's, when you start, you can create these different kinds of models. So right off the bat, they come with the basics. Usually we'll be using Java block and item. This is the basic one for like the Java version of Minecraft. You can do other kinds. So you can do these Optifine, that's a plugin, and then like a generic model, which is just meaning use it as like a 3D modeling software. You can export like a OBJ file or something. And then yeah, so the nice thing about this, the really important thing about the Java block is that you're not actually so when you're exporting a model from Blockbench, you're not actually exporting a 3D model, you're just exporting a JSON file, and that has all of the data that it needs in order to turn that into like a Minecraft item or some kind. So you can always start here. It's I'll just test item. Okay, and then this is what it looks like. Again, the controls are a lot simpler. There's no like middle mouse button. I think it's a little bit more laptop friendly. Well, you can scroll to zoom, left click to rotate, and then right click to pan, which is just nice to use. The one thing that is sucky, I think, about Blockbench is that it doesn't have like a tutorial, or there's no like I mean, I guess you can hover and see like a basic thing, but they don't really tell you much about their like hotkeys or how stuff works. So yeah, lots of YouTube videos is another good way to learn Blockbench. But okay, so the basics are, you start with these 4 panels are really like I guess the main tools that you'll be using up here. These are the actual tools themselves. This will change your cursor to do different things. And then this is where you can flip between the different stages of making something in Blockbench. So start is where we started, where you can just create the actual file or open up a file wherever you were. Edit is where you can actually start creating and shaping and moving around models and cubes. That's kind of how it's built, is you add a cube to the world, and then you shape it and move it around however you want. That we'll just get to in a sec. And then there's paint for actually texturing it. And then the display, which this is the best part. Kids love this. It actually puts in, you can change this skin too. It puts whatever model you make in the context of the game, and you can switch between different like uses of it. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we'll just go back to the edit tab and just start with something basic. Again, so you're just going to be adding cubes, and that's this button right here. And you add a cube to the world. You'll notice that this is I don't know why they do this, but the cube starts by default in the top or the bottom right corner, but the pivot, which is like where it rotates from, if I tried to rotate this object, it kind of goes all the way around this thing. The pivot always starts in the middle. So to fix that, you just go over here and hit center pivot. These are like your manual controls, so anything that you do in here will be reflected in the world. Pivot point being one of them. Okay, so yeah, very, very simple. We can just kind of, and you can always just center the pivot whenever it gets out of control. There is something important about this. So when you want to, let's say you want to like center something completely and then resize it. If like a student, so what I'll do is I'll just make like a little sword of some kind. And you'll notice kind of right off the bat, everything moves in single blocks. So if I try to like reshape this. Oh, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I somehow got rid of my grid.
This thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
and it doesn't show up again when I just start new
yeah,
projects or anything.
oh no, that's something that's happened before that I honestly have not figured out. Is it preview? No. I had a student who, I don't know, I think Eddie saw it. He somehow managed to superimpose a picture of a red panda in the back and could not get rid of it.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's right. You were there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. They don't have any, like, there's no documentation.
I closed out the program and started it back up, and it's back. So.
Oh, really? Okay. I know that there is a way. I know that there's like this quad view that you can do. Maybe it's, but I don't really know how to fix that. Sorry. I guess if it happens again, just restart. Okay. Anyways, the one other important control is, so instead of, you don't have to move it every block at a time. So even when you're like actually moving it, you'll see it goes one unit over. That can be a little bit frustrating. You want to like make it like a half step. So to do that, you can, whatever you're doing, you can just hold shift and then it'll work in smaller increments. This way you can like center things a little bit better, shape it a little bit more differently. And then the other one is you can use control, and then that'll be even like more of a fine thing. So shift and control are really important things to use, because it makes it so you can create these items, these objects that are a little bit more interesting. And then, yeah, okay. Let's just throw together the coolest sword. With items, oh, wrong one. You can get away with more of this kind of thing. So this is, I think this is called like Z fighting or whatever, where you have two planes on the exact same field. So these two blocks are like overlapping. It's not great, and it's really easy to fix. If this ever happens, you just kind of move it in. But you can have things like actually overlapping, just as long as they're not like fighting over the same layer. So that's just a thing to look out for. And yeah, we can just, this is, yeah, looking great. I had one student who was making something in this, and he really wanted it to, he really wanted the, like that tip to be angled like this. And, okay, hey Dad.
Hey.
I'm kind of leading a meeting right now. Is it okay?
Well, can I have one of yours?
Um,
For me?
Sure, yeah, go for it. They're in the, this is my dad, everyone. Anyway, we're just making a little thing. Okay. This is the fun part, though. This is the part that like kids really enjoy. Okay, this looks great. I don't know what this is, but it's cool. Okay. It's a little thing. So once you're done with that, and again, there's the ability to group things. For items, this doesn't okay. For items, what this allows you to do, which is important to know, is the groups allow you to group pivot something. So if you connect two things, like these two blocks, and then I make them into a group, your pivot now will control both of them. So you can rotate multiple things at once. Or not. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of cool.
Oh, that's
Never
really
mind.
cool.
It's might be an entity thing. There's different rules for when you're modding, when you're making like an item versus an entity. So if you're making something that is supposed to be an enemy in the game, which is really cool because you can then animate it. And I spent like 2 lessons learning how to animate something once. It was really great. But I guess with items it's a little different. My bad. I should have tested that before starting the lesson. Okay. The last thing that we should go over when it comes to the basics of like editing Blockbench is the vertex snap. So when you have 2 objects that you want to line up, and like let's say you want to put them in the same place in a way that like you want to make them perfectly aligned like this. Okay. To get here, instead of just putting it like right next to there, so you can see it's just slightly off, you want to use this tool, and I'm just seeing the wireframe so that we can actually see the see through everything. You want to use this tool, vertex snap. So vertex snap it gives you the ability to snap 2 vertexes just together so that they perfectly line up, and it'll fix everything else around it, which is great. Again, there's no like indication of how it works, other than, I guess, what you can guess. But the basic premise is that you want to click on the vertex you want to snap, and then the vertex you're snapping it to. So that means that you have to click on where I'm starting, and then I have to select the next object, and then where I want it to go. And then just like that, it'll go right there. So if you guys could see that, like really, really slight change, that's what it does. So yeah. Click the vertex, click on the object, and then click on the one you want to send it to, and then that'll connect things in a way that's really nice. Most of the time, like this is like probably the worst use case for this because they're literally just mixed. I could just extend this block outwards, but you know it's good to learn. Okay. I think that's good for the basics of modeling in Blockbench. And again, you can have a lot of fun with this. And like kids can make something really cool. So the next thing is painting it, which is also really fun because you get to make a texture for the item or whatever it is you're doing. There's a ton of different ways that you can do this. Some kids like texturing more than others, and so what you can do, a completely viable thing, is to add a texture. You can put textures here, and you can just, if you have like you can import textures from the game already if you just have like that file open, and you can just drag in like a block texture and then apply it to this thing, and it'll honestly most of the time it'll look pretty. You can also paint it if you want and just do each like pixel at a time. To do that, you can just wrong one. You can just create a texture. Yeah, I can call it texture. Why not? And then you have to apply it to each cube. I think I'm gonna have to do this in edit actually. And Zoom is now working. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with this. Anyways, well, never mind about that. Usually it allows you to just like start painting it. Oh, that's why. Okay, yeah, so you just right click on the object and then you hover over texture and then add the texture that you just created. This creates an interesting problem though. When you actually create the texture, you can paint it up here and nothing shows up, or you can paint it on the actual object and then it'll start showing up. But what you see is when you flip between the edit and the paint mode, the edit shows you what part of the texture this face is going to take. So when you deconstruct like a cube, it creates that like shape that's like square, and then it has a little like 3D thing, right? If you've ever like used paper and like folded this cube together, it does the same thing with Minecraft, except that it's all digital and all here. So when you're texturing, you kind of have to pay attention to where all of these little boxes are. Speaking also, you want to just make sure that you hit auto UV on everything. texture size won't be the same as in Minecraft. So you can have like a texture that's using smaller pixel sizes than what everything else is using, and that just kind of looks odd. It also doesn't matter that much because it's just for fun anyways, but just so you know. And then, yeah, when you paint, you can paint each pixel. And then this is what happens. This can be really confusing, though, to kids, is if I draw this pixel right here, and then this one, suddenly everything has that black square, right? Even though I just put it on the single face. And that's because of this, the UV. So each object has has 6 faces, right? And each face can take a different section of the screen. So you just have to pay attention to where that goes and kind of introduce that slowly. That's what I found is the only thing that works. Otherwise, it can be really confusing. And it's really nice. They have like a little palette for you. Wow, cute. It's also fun when you click one cube and everything turns that color. Anyways, this is an incredible item. Let's add some more. Yeah, there we go. Looks like it was truly made by a 6-year-old. Great. Okay. There's a ton of tools to play around with here. There's mirroring, paint buckets, yeah, all this kind of stuff. And honestly, you can just kind of let the kid go off. That's what I did. And it worked. And then, yeah, you create this beautiful texture image too over here. And then when you export, so when I'm exporting, right, you're exporting both the PNG, which is the texture, and the JSON file, which is the actual object. It's kind of cool that your 3D object is literally just a JSON file, and that's something you can talk about. That's a really cool thing to open up and look at and say, whoa, look at this. It's got a whole tree structure, and it tells you all of the different blocks where they go. And yeah, so that's what you're creating right here. Last thing you can do too is the display, and this is a really fun part. It always does this where it defaults the items as really, really small, but you can translate them, rotate them, and scale them appropriately, model, which is really nice. So why don't we just do that to make things look a little better? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's a little much. This is really yeah, how about that? Cool. Okay. So you can show it off not only in the hand, but you can also make translations for like what it looks like in the left hand, or in the first person view, actually, which is pretty funny that this did not work. I think it just needs to be out here. Yeah, this is like what the first person camera sees when it's on the right hand versus left hand. Like on your head, then you have to fix. Then you can do that there if you're making a hat. You can just see what it looks like when it's floating on the ground, which is also really cool. Let's make it there. Yeah. Can I make it? I kind of like it when it's kind of chunky. Okay, and then yeah, item frame. Again, these are really fun to play with. What it shows up in the UI. Okay, all of these translations that you make too will be exported to that JSON file, and that's a really fun thing to like identify. You're like, oh look, the translation on the y-axis is 5.5, and then you can find that in the JSON file and see what happens if you change the numbers in the text, and then how does that affect what it makes in the game. Okay, anyways, this is a whole lot of Blockbench. Blockbench is really fun. And yeah, you can play with this. You can tell them that they can change the skin too. I don't know how, but it does happen. Okay, and then when you're done, does anybody have any questions? I feel like I'm just kind of going, so slow me down if you need any help. Anything? Nope, you guys are good? Okay, cool. Again, this is something to just play with. It's fun, you know, get a old bottle of wine or something, I don't know.
Devin, do you when students build it, like will they build will like one student go like, hey, can we just do Blockbench for the next 4 weeks? Do students do that?
Usually not, because once you say, oh, we can put this in the game and you can play with it, then it's like, okay, wait, I want to do that. That's a good question though, because Blockbench is really easy to get obsessed with for like kids, because it's very rewarding. You've got that like visual feedback right away.
Yeah.
And it's just fun, and you get to like make something that like doesn't exist, still looks like it should. Obviously this looks professionally made by Mojang, so it makes.
No, I
But
feel
yeah,
like,
no,
you
it's
know, like when you're teaching students who are learning Scratch and they just want to like make their assets and they just spend all day on their sprites.
yes,
And
yeah,
it's always like the struggle because it's like that kid is really into it, but
yeah.
there's got to be a point where we stop.
Yeah. No, I found that like saying, okay, now let's do, let's get this actually working and doing things, because usually like the problem is never that the kid doesn't have an idea, at least that I've found. It's always that like, I want to make a phoenix, or I want to make a lightning rod or something like that. And so then the idea is already like constructed in their head. You just kind of have to get it out in some ways. There are a lot of those like really finicky things about blocks though that do take time. Like even I was struggling getting the texture onto the actual objects, and then making sure that they all are in the right place, because you have 6 sides for every single cube, and each one of them is like a different shape too. So those kind of things like kind of force you to slow down and think about the technicalities of what you're working with. And that in a way is like kind of a blessing, because it makes it less just like your ideas and having fun, and more about like actually learning something, if that makes any sense. So again, we'll just go moving on from Blockbench, just because we're at halfway. Exporting is really easy. You can export as an OBJ or any of these other things, but easiest is just to export as the JSON file, and it automatically does everything for you. The other thing that you do need to do though is save that PNG. It's called texture. I guess that might be it. I should save it over it. Okay, cool. It doesn't matter. Blockbench is thinking, by the way, their default behavior is that you're making a resource pack. So a resource pack means that you're not actually modifying the game. You're just providing it new, like almost like a new paint job over something. So if you wanted to, and that's a totally cool thing to do, is that you can make this, you don't have to use MCreator at all. You can just configure the resource pack details, which just tells Minecraft like what item is this overriding. If this is what I want a diamond sword to look like, then you tell it that, and then you give it a texture, and then it like a texture that already exists in the game, and then it'll do that. For us, since we're using MCreator, you don't really need to worry about any of that stuff, but that's just what that was. So okay, I exported. Now I just need to open up MCreator. And I already have a ton of these things. Workspaces, so if you're using MCreator for the first time, when you're gonna, it'll be a little bit different, landing page, and you just want to start a new workspace. Workspace is like the entire mod that you're going to create, and you can see my other tests there. It takes a second because it needs to all of the like Gradle configuration and making sure you have the JDK, and if not, installing it. And so MCreator, just getting MCreator set up, while it saves you so much of like trying to do this by hand in Java, it can still be a little bit funky, especially if the student is on like slower Wi-Fi or a computer that's not theirs. It's like their parents' laptop. It can be a little bit more difficult, but it still saves a lot of time, and it's really easy to use. So that's why we love MCreator. Hate MCreator. Anyways, okay. Workspace is where all of your mod elements are going to exist. In terms of Java, this is like your main class, and then everything that you create in here are subclasses of pre-existing things in the game. But we are not going to be, we're going to be coming back to this in a sec. First thing we want to do is actually import that 3D model. So you have the mod elements tab, where you can actually create items and different things. You can create anything you want in MCreator. I also recommend just playing around with this, trying things. The kids will also do this on their own time. Every student I've had who I've introduced to MCreator comes back to me like the next week with something they've already made. And then I'm like, okay, great, let's just work on the event handler and like learn about XYZ axis or whatever. So this is really fun to play with. But what we're going to be doing is functions over resources. Sorry, I just saw variables and they thought functions. Resources over here, and we can go to the 3D models and texture mapping, and then import JSON model. This is pretty intuitive as far as like finding where this is, in case like you don't have this video to reference or something. But yeah, you're just going to be looking for a resource, and we're adding a 3D model. We will add the texture file. In fact, we can just do that right now. You can just import an item texture. Oh, it makes you do this though, which is a bit of a pain. Where is it? Wait, where is it? I thought I had a thing for Minecraft modding. Coding lessons, that's why. Minecraft modding. And then texture.png, there it is, yeah. Okay, here's my glorious texture. And then we're going to import the JSON file. Thankfully it knows where I was. Okay, and then okay, yeah, this is a little funny thing that they tell you to set the model texture. You don't actually have to. You can just save the mapping because we do that when we actually create the item. So okay, great. We got everything imported. We imported the actual JSON model, and then we imported the actual texture here. Once you have those imported, you don't have to even do the texturing in Blockbench. You can do the texturing in MCreator. It just won't show up the same way. And the reason is because those things are just serving a mod element. So everything we created is just a way to actually like attach that to something in the game. So when we have to add a mod element, and because this is an item like tool down here, it doesn't have to be a tool. You can just make it an item itself, or whatever you were planning on making, whatever the student wanted to make. So I'll just say that this is a tool. Wow, so cool. Okay, and then you can actually set that information right here. So the tool texture, there it is, and our build and our item model is imported. It was test item thing. I need better naming conventions. Okay, and then yeah, the basics of MCreator too that is really worth looking at is when you're creating something, you have tabs up here, the thing that you're working on, your workspace, everything else that you're doing. If you have like a texture or whatever, that'll be here. And then down here on these little tabs, these are what actually makes that mod element, and these are the fields in Java as well as the event handlers. So it's a good thing to talk about, I found, but it can also just get lost in terms of like, I just want to make something. So figuring out these little buttons and everything that happens here is a fun adventure, but can be hard to get like a student's focus on, if that makes any sense. It's like, how is this coding? It's kind of coding. It's kind of just filling in boxes. That's kind of the thing about MCreator that always gets me. But yeah, we can pick whatever it is. I'll just say it's a pickaxe. Well, we'll play with this. This is fun to play with for students. You can like increase the damage. Whoa, it's a pickaxe that does so much damage. And then yeah, and then this is the other thing. So this is the second half. This is like the entire second half of MCreator are these event handlers, and they take a little bit of just practice, because it's like learning Scratch again for the first time, that you have a ton of blocks and you don't really know what they do or where they are, but they're really important. So we can pick one. I always like to pick the when right-clicked in air. Yeah, because it's really easy to test. These things you have right underneath it, XYZ world entity item stack, these are actually your parameters. So you're building right a function or a method, and you have access to certain things when this is called, right? Some things have like source entity versus entity, because you hit an entity and then who is hitting the entity. Right, and then you have like slot for the inventory. Ticks are like the world time. So you have like 20 ticks per second is the standard. And so in a Minecraft world, you can access each one of those ticks at a time. That's kind of the hook you get. And so in order to add a procedure, you can, again, procedures are just like a regular mod element. Every mod element that you add is a class in Java that's creating your entire mod. So you can add it here or wherever you want, but yeah, I'll just create the procedure, and then this is the part of the coding, right? right? This is this is like the Scratch that we know. These are all of your blocks over here that you can open up and flip through. And I've found that it's a little bit less, it's definitely less intuitive than Scratch, but you can still practice and learn that logic in a way that is productive. And so, like, for example, we wanted to learn about like XYZ graphs, right? 3D graphs is a really cool sounding thing, and it kind of expands on a thing that they would already understand. And like a loop and a variable. How can we make something? The premise was, how can we make an explosion like explode along the x-axis 10 times? So you can either do explode at x and then, or x, y, z, and then the next block is explode at x plus 1, y, z, and then x plus 2, and that kind of thing. Or you can find a way to use a loop and a variable and construct that entire procedure, and then we get to see it, and then when you make it in the game, you right click in the air on your custom item and it blows up in a line, and that's kind of fun. So yeah, there's, again, that's, I mean, you know, I know you guys can probably figure that out. There is a little bit, something a little bit quirky about if you want to use like a variable, a number, you have to use and so if you have like a loop of some kind, then you have to drag this block in there and then tell it what number it is. A little silly. The other thing is when you're making variables, you have to tell it what kind of variable you're making. So like a logic variable is a Boolean, basically. It can either be true or false, and you can only use it as true or false. They try to do what Scratch does with colors, and that like blue is for numbers and green is for like other things, but the colors all kind of look the same and get really easily lost. I don't know, it's the whole thing. So yeah, if you make a variable and you want to make that variable a number, which is kind of Java-esque, that you have to tell it what type it is before you can actually do something with it, then you have to make sure that you make the right kind of variable. So if I make a number variable, then when I access it, it's going to be in custom variables, but it's the right color, right? So I think this blue, no, I just saw it. This dark blue, as opposed to the light blue, is the they don't like make things easy. Anyways, so that's what you have access to here, and you can do some fun things with this. I'll just, because we don't really need to go over it. But yeah, once you get that working, just make sure that it says when right clicked in air, do, and then the name of your procedure. I've had that before where I've like done exactly this, where I created the procedure and then just kind of forgot about it, and then you spend 10 minutes trying to figure out where that happened. So yeah, make sure you save the mod element at the end. And now our wow so cool is, it's compiling right now. You can always, this is a nice thing that they have is access to the console, just so you can debug in case there's like a missing texture or the item isn't loading in or whatever. Yeah, and you'll also see if the build fails on like the beginning when you start for the first time, just in case. Okay, so yeah, any questions there before we move on? Not that there's much more, but that all right? I'm not talking too fast or rambling. Okay, cool. Okay, great. So then let's just give it a test. Wow, so cool. Again, you can just run here. This is the same as the run client. If you saw the last lesson where we figured out how to even run the game, it's nice. If you download MCreator, then you have single player Minecraft in like a dev environment, which is kind of cool. You can see it doing its thing. This is really fun actually for students to see. I don't know why, but like every kid that I've worked with, when they see like, oh, look at that, Atlas beds, PNG, oh, that's so cool, I know what that is. And then you can like scroll through everything that it's loading. And then as you're, let's say I'm like loading into the world, you can see it actually like thinking in a way. It's like the computer's brain. Yeah, look at that preparing spawn area. And then you can, like, if you die, then that's when it shows up. Okay, great. So now we're in the game, and I think I made it a tool. Oh, look at that. Wow, so cool. This is exactly as it was gonna show up in MCreator. It takes the name even, and then when I have it, oh yeah, it looks so silly. The texture, I don't know if the texture worked, but regardless, there it is. And if you go into the third person view, oh, there is a texture. If you go into third person view, you can see it and how big we made it. We translate it. It doesn't make sense actually in the hand, but there it is. Truly incredible. I guess the white didn't work, but anyways, yeah, that's that. And we've done it. We've translated an idea into a 3D model, and then made a texture, and then turned that into something in the game. Thank you. Yeah, that was much faster than I was expecting. Obviously, if you're doing this with a student, it'll take a little bit longer than 45 minutes. But you could probably make this in a few weeks, which is great because then you can like keep doing this, add a little bit more complicated things like procedures. You can get to entities in Blockbench. You can actually like make an entire mob and then translate that into MCreator and then write very, very kind of simplistic AI behavior. You won't really have to do the AI because you are adding something on top of the original game. So you'll just make it like a hostile mob or like a horse or something like that. And then Minecraft will know what to do with that, which is really nice because then you can theoretically get things actually going. There's a whole nother system that comes with animations in entities. You have to download some plugins. It's incredible. There is a plugin that is has support for both Blockbench and MCreator. So you can create like a Java animated entity in Blockbench using this plugin and then send it to MCreator and install the same plugin and then it'll translate it into the game. It's a little bit harder to get working, but it's really cool. And those are like really, really fun projects that kids really are excited to get on. And you can just kind of keep spending time on Blockbench and MCreator, going back and forth, adding new things, changing things, making it more fun, adding an explosion, whatever. And yeah, so, okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I think that's all from me today. Yeah, any questions? Yeah, Jimmy?
Also, like how Kieran lost the grid thing, right? Are there other like, oh, not to call that out, but you know, just as an example,
Yeah.
but like you know, like, yeah, what are some like anticipated, like common anticipated problems with students?
Yeah.
Oh, like yeah, like I don't know how to color that side, or I can never understand the axis. Like what are some big problems, common ones? Yeah,
that's a great question actually, because there are a lot. It's a little bit it's a little bit hard to pin down. Let me just kind of walk through that Blockbench process again. Oh, that's nice. The textures like, oh, that's what happened. Okay, I think I already had a texture.png. Anyways, one thing that I found happens is that kids click buttons faster than you can tell them what they do. So when it comes to like, you know, when I'm like, let's add like a block, add a cube, and then they'll just kind of go. And you start creating a cube, you start moving it around, and then if you come to like rotate it, suddenly it's all the way over there, and you're like, hey, wait a second. And so something as simple as like reset that pivot can be really important, just so that they know like where you actually want to rotate it. That's kind of a, I don't have a great like example. I'm trying to think of like something that would be really easy to fall into. Texturing is one thing that can be a bit of a pain, because you draw a square, you just want theoretically it's intuitive that you like click a button and then that's that face on that cube is that color, but sometimes it pops up in other places. So the mapping of the textures, that I think is something that's worth oh man, that's definitely something that is worth slowing down for, is making sure that you know where the like the texture, where it gets that texture from. So making sure that you right clicked, set the texture to the one that you're creating over here, and then actually going back into edit mode and making sure that each face on that cube is grabbing the right part of that texture. And they're not like sized weirdly, because this is what the UV is, right? So I have one size of pixels for the other sides of this object, and then for the north face, it's like this weird, oh, sorry, hold on. It's this like really, really kind of scaled, strangely grabbing of the image, which is itself kind of cool, but not exactly what you want to do. If you compare that to like the other sides, anyways, yeah, so definitely texturing, I think, is one place to look out for and just take your time on, so that kids can, yeah, get a real sense of that. It's kind of cool. I can just like squish the face in there. Yeah. Oh, also, so I made my model obviously really, really small, just to make things quick. But like when I went into the display, right, I had to scale everything up really far, making sure that kids understand the sense of scale. I guess like this is about the size of, so the grid right now is about the size of a block in Minecraft. So if you fill it up entirely, it'll look like a complete cube of the actual game, I believe. You can, I think there's a way to inflate it, but yeah, so this is like one face of a cube, and when it's scaled appropriately. Yeah, it's a little, I guess it's a little bit bigger, but just making sure in terms of scale that you understand how big something is, because otherwise you can like do all this work and make it really nice and really small, and then you have to, in order to like make it show up, you just have to scale everything ×4, and then that can cause problems, because if that's still not big enough, then it's kind of frustrating. Yeah, and then making sure that you export everything. Oh, that's the last thing, is all of this stuff is not self-contained. It has to be put in places that you can find them on your computer. So just making sure that like you save files to like not to like the downloads folder on their computer, or you know, somewhere where they're going to lose it, throwing it in like a folder. I always, like, the first thing that we do when I'm starting a project, you have to do this for MCreator anyways when you make a new workspace, but always just make an empty folder, put it in documents, put it somewhere on your computer that you can remember on your desktop, and then drop stuff into that folder. Because if you don't, if you just kind of save things where the default location is, then you can lose track of your textures and your models and then the MCreator stuff. And you can just sit there trying to scroll through different, like, your file system in different ways and get completely lost. So, I mean, that's kind of just like good computer practice, I guess. But those are definitely things that come up. Okay, sorry, I'll deal with that. MCreator can take a little bit of practice, just because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, kind of weird UI. I think of like common problems. Sometimes MCreator can be frustrating because it's basically running all of that like configuration with Gradle and like your JDK behind the scenes and doesn't really tell you what it's doing. So I've had times where you try to like have a student like download MCreator. We're gonna like try to get an MCreator and then just practice it. You can spend a day just like downloading and like adding a mod element and then clicking through it and showing them all of the buttons that they can like play with. And sometimes the build will just fail. It'll just be like build failed, no JDK found. I haven't found a very easy solution to that other than downloading the Java development kit or the software development kit, which sucks because you have to download Java 8 instead of Java 11, which is the most recent one. for whatever reason, Minecraft refuses or Forge refuses to use anything other than Java 8. So there can be problems there. I've also had it though, on Mac, where a student just installed MCreator for the first time and it worked without any Java kit. So a good way to debug that is just take a look at the console and see what it's saying. If it tells you that there's no Java kit, then try to download that. And if not, then you might just need to go to Google and see what you can find. Yeah, that is just kind of one of the things about that. And I think the danger too about like the setup time, especially for MCreator and even Blockbench, is that students often, when they're starting, can feel overwhelmed. Like I'm not gonna they're not gonna I'm not gonna memorize all of those steps. And I think even like you guys can get a sense of that. It's like there's a lot of steps to like get this working, and it's kind of hard to memorize each one. And if you feel it, and if you miss one, then something's wrong. So I think just like building up an intuitive sense of how these programs work and interact with each other is really important, and there's really no way to like do that besides spending a little time with it. Minecraft modding in general is kind of notoriously opaque, and you have to just spend time on it. So that's something that like I have done and I recommend you do, is just finding like a YouTube video. I can send some, maybe I'll link some in the chat for like getting started with Minecraft modding, because that is your documentation. There's no quick start guide. Well, there is, but it's out of date. And yeah, let's see. Pay attention to what version of Minecraft the student wants to be working with. The latest right now is 1.16, but the latest Forge is 1.15, and that's ignoring the fact that Minecraft just announced a whole new version of Minecraft, which is gonna like do this thing. So usually I always like what I've been trying to be consistent with teaching you guys too is 115.2. So Forge 1.15.2, I know it feels really specific because it's 115.2, but for whatever reason, 115.2 has the most support out there I could find. So getting familiar with just checking like what version it's exporting to when it comes to Blockbench or MCreator or anything else you do with Minecraft, and making sure that you're at least in this area of like 115, then you'll be in a much better place. But again, like a month from now, you might have to do things completely differently because 116 came out and there's a whole new button over here and the kid wants to play with that. Or you have a student who's like, I want to make a mod for 1.8.9, which is what Arden did. And then I had to go back and try to figure out what was going on in 2011. So yeah, that's what I can think of off the top of my head. But if you guys have questions, or if you, because like I hope that you guys feel at least a little bit capable taking on a Minecraft student, somebody who's like, I want to learn Minecraft and has no really idea what that means. If that, you know, if that means just like for you guys opening up MCreator and spending a day on that, opening up Blockbench if you feel more comfortable there. If you have any questions, throwing them in the chat on Discord, it'll be a little bit more difficult now for me to get back to you, but just making sure that we can get that support going. So if we have people asking things and answering things, I think it'll make that process way easier, and easier for even more students to come in and or tutors to come in and kind of pick up that. But yeah, I think that's all. That's all from me, at least. That's what I have planned. Any more questions? Do you guys have any concerns? No? Cool. Well, Jimmy, let's talk or figure out the Minecraft night or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, I guess yeah, the sooner that we would know, but then that would also depend on what the Mindy project says, right?
Yeah, yeah. Never have I ever. I wish it was on the Mindy project. That'd be cool. But yeah, I'll let you know tomorrow as soon as I can.
Okay.
On like what my shifts are gonna be for this next week.
Okay.
But Saturdays I know that I'm not working, so we can
Okay,
find a good time then. But I'll give you an idea if Friday's better or something like that.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, and then I'll post it up.
What's the Minecraft Halloween event?
Oh, cool. So a student approached us about having so we did a Minecraft birthday party a while ago where we just get like 10 students in a Minecraft server that I created, and so you can like host servers online, and then I built a little house with some fun things for them to like find and play with. They didn't do any of that, they just blew it up. But getting kids in a server together, and this time Eddie and I have stuff for them to do. They better do it. So the plan is to create a Minecraft version of Trick or Treat or Trick or Treating, where they can go and find these little like chests full of goodies, which include explosives and other things that they can build with, and then go crazy once they're done with that. And that way we can like have just like a couple of hours of fun where we get as many kids as we can, and they get to explore the different houses and little challenges and things that we created. So by like Minecraft night, it literally means just like playing Minecraft, building some, like, I think Eddie and I would love to like show you guys both what we've made, and then also help you guys get started with the game and like make a little house, or even if it's just a big square, that's great. And then like put something in there for the kids to play with and then eventually break. And then we just get to have a little event so that they can have somewhat of a Halloween, or at least most of a Halloween in the online version that we can, because it's a little bit up in the air on what's going to happen. So yeah, that's the plan, in short.
Awesome.
I think it'd be really fun. It'd also just be fun as coaches to do something a little different, and get to work on something that, for whatever reason, tons and tons of kids around the world are obsessed with.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
yeah. Is that all? That's all?
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Devin. Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you guys for
thanks.
coming out. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you guys next time.
Okay.
Have a good
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
All right, see ya.
See ya.